back then, like my friends and I, we would like to play like something like Armored Core, and in Armored Core, you could use your custom saved ACs and have them battle each other. So we would take our memory cards over to our friend's house, and then we could you know carry our characters over or whatever. So sometimes you leave it at your friend's house or something like that, or it gets lost in transit or whatever. So I definitely
And
lost saves that way. Yeah.
and of course, this is, I believe, at least to my point, right now you either sorry have an Xbox Series X, X, S, or a PlayStation 4 or 5 or whatever, and very little people have a PSP or a Vita or something. But what makes the big success of the Game Boy at the time, what Game Boy compared to the Nintendo and the Sega Genesis or Mega Drive, that you could save. You could play Zelda, Awakening, Link's Awakening, or Mystic Quest or whatever, and you could save. Which is why the Game Boy has such massive sale and was so important in the video game industry, being just a portable console, which like right now, a portable console, and I hope that the Steam Deck is gonna have a better future than current portable console. But that's why you have much less portable console compared to like a big heavy Xbox or stuff like this. At this time, it counted a lot, but I'm digressing. So, of course, Korean's not here to keep us in line. So,
Yeah.
and we have an hour to fill or less. It's all right.
Yeah.
So,
Uh,
just gonna talk a little bit about my choice on this.
sure.
You said it depends on the game. I
Yeah.
agree. I would even say it depends on the genre.
Yeah. No, I would completely agree with that as well.
Mhm. So, for instance, I agree with you that for Horizon, 40 hours main quest up to 100 hours, it's what I played, and it's a good length for this kind of game. And in this kind of game, you include Ghost of Tsushima, all the Tomb Raiders, all of the Uncharted, all of the adventure game in general. That's good. I don't know how long a Demon Souls would go, but I think it's
People
quite
are
lengthy as well.
people are saying 100 hours ish or more. Yeah.
Again, we are taking all the fun of Skyrim aside because that would be a good 1,000 hours.
It
So,
can
shoo,
be.
shoo.
I do feel like Skyrim's a little bit different though. Like Skyrim, I feel like is the kind of game where you can play and you can put it down and you can play something else and then you can come back to Skyrim. Whereas something like Horizon Zero Dawn or The
Mm,
Witcher, I feel like that would be harder to do just because the plot is so much more. You feel like you have to, get through the whole thing. Whereas in Skyrim, yeah, you
absolutely.
can just be like, you know what, I'm not really doing anything that important, and then just play something else and then come back.
You're right, absolutely.
Kind of like
And
Minecraft or something in a way.
although I really like games like this, it honestly take a lot out of me. Like, I'm not 40 years old yet, but soon. And after a month of Horizon Zero Dawn, where I really wanted to go down the plot before I start losing interest, I was trying to play about 2 hours a night, like between 9 and 11. I can tell you the day after at work, and especially at the end of the week, I was wrecked. It really takes a lot out of me to finish a game like this. That's why when I finished Horizon, I was like, all right, next game, I take it easy, like very, very easy. And that's why I'm playing, some very small game like Star Sector. It's the stuff which you start a game, and again, it's a sandbox, so you can play like 10, 15 hours. You can stop anytime. You have no lore to think about or anything. That's very relaxing game. It's a bit like Korean's relaxing game. I'm sure Korean would prefer shorter kind of game.
Oh
But
yeah, definitely.
for me, ideally, ideal time play for me at this time would be um, survival sandbox game, very much like the Subnautica series. And if you follow Subnautica, Subnautica 3, Unknown Worlds or Unknown Horizon, I think it's a studio is Unknown Worlds, has announced that they're working on number 3, which is fantastic. And these games are 15, 20 hours, how much you are crazy about making the top quality base and things like this. But 15, 20 hours, that's great. And there's lore, of course, there's story, but not that heavy because it's a sandbox game. you mainly spend a lot of time crafting and crafting and create your base and stuff like this. So it's really like playing Lego in a video game. Of course, there's some beast trying to eat you, but it's very relaxing, and I really love this kind of game because literally it take me out of the daily routine of bringing the kids to to school and working and stuff like this. And it doesn't take a lot out of me, like physically, like Tsushima or Horizon Zero Dawn with 100 hours, and I know that I really need to play if I want to stay in the story. Yeah, Subnautica would be much easier for me now, and I'm not a grandpa, come on, but still, it's just how busy the week is. I'm telling you that I'm, playing from 9 to 11, but before that, I had a 10 hours day, and I had the kids to go bring and come back to school and homework and everything in between. I'm not going to detail how long a day is. If you're a parent, you know what I'm talking about. It can be quite long. And, when you start, you finish your day, and at 9, you're like, I'm dead. Should I just go, like start either an episode of of a Netflix series, like 1 hour, or a movie or something, or should I play? Okay, I need to play because I know if I don't play, I'm gonna lose interest and I'm never gonna finish this game, and it's gonna be in my list of unfinished game. And I don't want that because I really love this series. So, allez, let's go. 2 hours, let's go. And you know that once you start, you're like so much into the series, you're like 11:30. No, I told myself I would stop at 11. Ah, yeah, but one more quest.
I've definitely been there before. Yeah.
And then you have your alarm at 5:30, and you're like, I knew I shouldn't have done that last quest.
But then you do it. You do it again the next day.
Well, that depends. Usually the next day I'm like, nah, it was too hard today. Let's go to sleep. So 1 day out of two, I would just sleep. Actually.
Oh well, then you have more self control than I do.
Oh no, no, I'm just wrecked. I'm just completely wrecked. I just can't do that. Otherwise, the kind of game which I find which could be very long, honestly, like more than 100 hours easily, and yet it's still a good playtime, would be all the 4X game. Civilization, Stellaris, all of this, because it's, pass your turn. You can play half an hour and just pick it up and the next day, and you can do very short session, but for a very long time. And that's very good because Horizon would be long session, very short time. After a month, you're like, okay, I have enough. I want to go to something else. Civilization is fine because you can play for 1, 2 months. It's okay. You never kind of lose interest, or you will, but it take a longer time. So it's fine. For me, that could also be considered a good time length, even though it could easily go to 200 hours, for a game. It's weird to say, but that's how it goes. So it really depends on the genre.
Mm. Yeah, definitely. Like I said, RPGs are kind of my thing, and I like RPGs to be fairly long. And then kind of the same thing with what call it with the action RPGs. Like the Dark Souls and that sort of thing. I think maybe it kind of depends on the gameplay as well. But yeah, if I was playing a game like, say, Catherine, I would say maybe like 20 hours would be good. But especially because a game like Catherine, and it depends too, because like a game like Catherine has multiple endings and quite a few as well. And so and because of that, the gameplay, it's not combat oriented, it's puzzle oriented. But one of the great things about that game is if you've completed the puzzle once, you can skip it if you're playing it on the same or lower difficulty. So if you play the game, say, on normal difficulty one time through, you can skip all the puzzles and just go straight to the story part. But it has a total of what? Three. It has a total of, I think, 4, 12. Something like Full Body has something like, I don't know, 12, 15 different endings. So depending on which path you go, it makes a huge difference. So in that case, I think having a shorter game is good because it encourages you to replay. so if for instance Skyrim had, you know, 10 endings, there's no way I'm playing through to get every ending. That was one of the things with like The Witcher 3. When I played The Witcher 3, I was playing it fairly thoroughly. And this is something too, is if you're going to have a long game, you have to have good gameplay. In The Witcher, I loved the stories. I loved the interactions between the characters. I thought all that was great, but the combat was kind of lacking. And so, you know, after 60 hours or so, it started to feel kind of like a slog where I'm just like, oh, you know, like I wish I could just fast travel to where I need to go, you know, running across the map. And after that, after kind of got old. And, you know, I just want to get to the meat. Just take me straight to the story, you know, make it a visual novel from here on out. But I ended up putting over 200 hours into that game. And after 200 hours, and it was one of those things where like after 200 hours and they're like, oh yeah, there's multiple endings and, you know, there's other challenges and, you know, they're going to come out with a PS5 version. And I was just like, no, I'm done. I'm never going to touch this game again. I'm glad I played it. I had a lot of fun, but I am not touching this again. There's just no way. Whereas with Mass Effect, when I played getting ready for Andromeda, I played Mass Effect 1 through 3 back to back. And, you know, that was probably around 200 hours. And it's 3 different games, but, you know, it kind of feels like one when you're playing them all back to back. But that one, you know, I was thinking like, yeah, maybe someday I'll try it again and try a different path and whatnot. Not now, because, you know, I want something else. But yeah, you know, because the combat was a lot more fun. It was a lot more interesting. So yeah, you have to have kind of that interesting gameplay loop. I think that's one thing that Horizon Forbidden West does pretty well with the variants. Now it does kind of get repetitive, where it got to the point where it's funny because when I first see a new dinosaur there, I don't fight it. I'm like, no, that thing's too big. I'm going the other way. No way. And then I have to fight one, and it's tough. And then you get to, but then after I defeat it a couple times, I'm like, oh, that's nowhere near as bad as I thought. And then and then from then on, I just farm them like they're nothing.
There's something I would have loved to see in Horizon Forbidden West. Sorry, I digress a bit, but imagine Horizon with a system like Mass Effect or Fable, where you can play Renegade.
Oh yeah.
You know, like Aloy is not a goody two shoes. You know, she has to save the world, and everyone in her path, a bit like Silence, dies. So that would have been a very fun gameplay, and I would have replayed, I think, just for this. But you know, you're talking action RPG, talking multiple endings, and I know that you played that. What would you say about Nier Automata?
Nier Automata, I thought was perfect. I mean, Nier Automata is interesting because, you know, people say there's multiple endings, and it's like, kind of. There's
Kind
only
of.
yeah, because it's like, well, there's only one real ending, and it's just that each ending actually there's more after that ending, so it was like a false ending. So when you say multiple endings in Nier Automata, it's very different. There's really only 2.
Oh no, I love the ending where you just remove your that
Oh
memory
yeah, you
card.
just remove the wrong chip and you just kill yourself. Yeah.
Fantastic, you suicided. Well done, bravo.
Yeah, and then they have all the endings A through E, and most of them are kind of joke endings. Yeah, or A
That
through
was
Z.
fantastic to think
Yeah,
about that.
I missed one ending. I missed one ending because there's only one missable one, so I ended up having to buy the trophy. But yeah, my favorite ending in that one, I think, was the one where you eat the fish and it kills you. Yeah, if you go fishing, you can catch like a weird fish, and it's like you can eat it, and if you eat it, it's, I guess because it's a machine fish or something, and it's toxic to androids or whatever. So you eat it, and then you die, and that's it. That's the ending.
Isn't there also one where you kind of blew up the spaceship and all of the
Yeah,
androids finish in
if you
space?
self-destruct in
exactly.
the spaceship, you can, or in the space station, you can blow up the space station.
With your boss being
Yeah. It says like your boss has like a condescending look on her face, like, why'd you do that? Yeah.
what the hell did you do?
Yeah. So I like that, and those are great because you can do them almost any time. You don't have to like reach a certain point in the story to do them, with the exception of, you know, you have to wait until you get a fishing pole, or you have to wait until you access a certain place in the game where you can do it. But yeah, I really like the way Nier Automata did it. And Nier Automata was another game that I probably didn't spend 100 hours in Nier Automata. I probably beat the whole thing in probably closer to
Much faster, huh?
much faster, probably closer to 60 or 80.
Yeah,
Um,
50, 60. Oh, I would have said 50
yeah, maybe
for Nier.
60 because
Mm.
it is really linear. It's not open world like say Skyrim or something like that. It is very linear.
I
Um,
recall your reboot of Nier was quite fast, huh? Nier
yeah, Near Replicant was pretty fast too.
Replicant.
Same thing. Yeah, it's very linear. And I mean, in the case of Nier is actually a remake of the older game, so the world's even
Mhm.
smaller. But there's a lot of back and forth. But yeah, those games go pretty quick. But those games add a lot of replayability, especially because the way Nier did it, you have to go back and you play. That was one thing that I absolutely loved that Nier Automata did was that the game wasn't that long, and you can play through it and you can get the first ending, and then the second playthrough you were playing from the perspective of 9S, so you're playing the exact same game you just played, but you're playing it from the perspective of a different character,
Mm.
and that to me was
That's cool.
really interesting. Um, yeah.
Mm. And in this topic, so we talked about, these kind of games where you can play 60, 80, 100 hours. What do you think about a new game plus? A new game plus where you restart the same game, but instead of being level 1, you level 100 with all of your inventory, with all of your weapons. So you can literally, except if you pass your, actually the only interest you would have to doing this is passing your the level of difficulty from normal to extremely hard, maybe to platinum the game. That would be, is that something you would do?
Yeah, I mean, I did that with Horizon Forbidden West. I did that where you go from uh where you go from you play the game and then you have all your stuff and then yeah, not Forbidden West, I'm sorry. Zero Dawn, where
Zero
I went
Dawn,
through
Zero
and
Dawn.
played the new game plus on ultra hard. And you get to keep all your stuff. And I really enjoyed it. You got to kind of do things a little bit differently, and it goes a lot faster because you have at least the early parts go a lot faster because you're even though it's a harder difficulty, you're
Yeah,
significantly
you
powered
roll over
up.
them.
Yeah. So I did like that. For me, it's more what I personally, and this is a personal taste on my part. This is not what I think most people like. I enjoy two kinds of New Game Plus. I enjoy the kind of New Game Plus where it's the exact same game, but you have all your stuff. And I like that because it's the kind of thing where if you enjoy a game, you can go back, revisit it later, but you don't have to do the whole slog of grinding. You can just enjoy the story and play through it. So if you want to replay the game a year later or something like that, or for instance, like if I'm getting ready for Horizon Forbidden West, I can play through Zero Dawn, and I was going to do that, but my Zero Dawn save was lost in between the transfer of the PS4 and the PS5, so I had to start over from scratch. But if I had had my old save, I could have blazed through the story, and I could just be like, hey, we're just going to do the story and we're going to go real quick because all the combat's going to be fast. And so I think it's great for that. And the other thing I like in New Game Plus are these games that add something to New Game Plus. The Nier games are kind of like that, but more like in Final Fantasy Type Zero, which I know a lot of people did not play. Uh, what they did was in New Game Plus, they added some new dungeons. It allowed you to approach some of the story elements from a different angle. You got access to an airship, so you could do plot points that you couldn't do previously. You could unlock new dungeons that you couldn't unlock previously. So I like that when it's like, okay, we can play through the game again, but we're allowed to get some new kind of side content, which is optional. I like that. What I didn't like so much was actually the Dark Souls thing because I played Bloodborne, and in Bloodborne, you go through, you beat the game, you level up, you get to your level, and then after you reach a certain level, after you reach your level, you beat the game, you go back into New Game Plus, but New Game Plus just ups the difficulty so that your it really just ups the difficulty, and then you can play through the game again. But it was kind of like, well, where's it's like I already have everything unlocked, but it's like playing through the original game, but you've unlocked all your gear, but you're starting over at level 1 in a way. And it's like, so you're basically
Oh,
just
thank
playing the
you.
exact same game again.
Thank you so much because this is exactly why I hate it very badly the new game plus of Tales of Berseria. And I'm saying Berseria right now because I just can't remember for the. I played all of the nearly all of the Tales of, and I just can't remember the. I think I remember in the very early like Symphonia, and I might be completely wrong. Some correct me, but I played with a friend because sometimes you can play multiplayer. Enfin, you can play multiplayer in Tales of, and I recall that we did a new game plus. So because there was a hidden boss or like a very hard boss you couldn't beat really on the first playthrough, so you have to restart on the new game plus to get even stronger, and then you can beat him. That's again in my foggy memories, but and Berseria. So Tales of, just if you don't know how New Game Plus in Tales of works, each time you fight, it's everything you do in the story, you get points. Like for the better you fight, the shorter the fight is, you get a rank and you get points. And the end of the game, you get a certain amount of points, which give you access to a library of things you can unlock. You have 10,000 points, you can unlock your redo the game, but you have all of your inventory, or you have all of objects or weapons or stuff like this. But you cannot restart with your levels. You restart with level one. And to add, how do you say that? Like add insult to injury or
Yeah,
something like
yeah.
this? Yeah. Uh, you have the option in the library to boost your experience time 3 or time 6 or time, like, so each time you beat one monster, it's like you beat him 3 times, so it level up much faster. I don't like this, but if you want to replay, that's something. But on your first playthrough, there is no way you can have the right amount of points to unlock this.
Mm.
Or if you can unlock this, you can't unlock anything else. It's a pain. You have to finish the game 2 or 3 times to actually unlock nearly everything in the library. What the hell? Do you think that your game is interesting enough to redo it 3 times with the exact same story, no hidden dungeon, nothing else in the game apart from unlocking these? No, absolutely not. I would much prefer uh, an old type RPG, think Final Fantasy 8 or Star Ocean, where you finish the boss, you finish the story, you finish the end boss, but it's not finished because you have an extra boss, hidden boss, optional boss, which is much stronger. Like Star Ocean, I think it was like an extra dungeon after the boss, like 100 level tower or something like this. And that's fun because you don't have to do it. But if you really like the game, you can do another 20, 30 hours just to beat this hidden boss. And that's a very good way to add length to your game. You had fun, but you're tired of it. You play your 40 hours. You're good. You finished the story. You finished everything. You had your ending. But if you want to add another 20 hours to it, here's a hidden dungeon. With or without New Game Plus, again, this is something I played 20 years ago. I can't even remember what I had for lunch yesterday, so please leave me a comment to remind me exactly how it worked. But that's, I think, a very good way to add length to the game without pissing off the players. Because right now, like I finished Berseria, I was happy. I had a good story, I had a good gameplay, I really liked the game, and I saw the new Game Plus, and I was like, oh no. Oh, you don't do that to me, game. I'm turning you off. I'm never turning you back again. I'm not playing a new game plus. I'm not restarting everything from level one. Even if I have all of my inventory, even if I have these and that, and why would I do that? It doesn't add anything to the game. If just for the fun you restart at level 70 for all of your weapons and you just, like roll over the game like one-shotting boss just for the lol, I crushed you. Like you could do in Final Fantasy 8 with uh, what was the name of the blonde bad guy? Squall could
Zell?
be the no, no, Zell's your friend, right?
Zell's the blonde one.
Yes, but your enemy, the one
Oh, Cypher.
Cypher. Thank you. Somehow you grind hard enough, you can watch one shot Cypher.
Yeah.
That's extremely fun because he's your, like your nemesis. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Come here, Shla! One shot, up yours. sorry, kids. That's just for the fun, and it's really fun. I like it. I like, I don't really enjoy, doing stuff very hard just for the sake of it. That's why I'm watching Let's Play of Elden Ring right now. And it looks very fun, but I wouldn't play it myself. I actually saw one of my favorite YouTubers actually broke his pad in half out of rage from the game. It was his first Dark Soul. That everybody loves it, and I really want to love the game. But what the hell is that? And after some point, dying not even from boss, but just from regular enemies, like like, oh shit, I broke my pad. See what you let me do, game. And this guy doesn't really have rage issue or anything. It's just like me, he's a middle-aged gamer, and we're not here for the pain of the game. We're here to enjoy, relax after a day of hard work and stress. I'm not enjoying that much, the game that Korean would do, like Slime Rancher and all, because it's kind of too cool for me. I still like a bit of background and an interesting story, like a good book or a good movie, like which takes you out of, in another world and stuff. But still, like too hard. No, that's good for, like maybe Asian players who like, to grind and seek ever more challenging challenges. Not for me. Maybe it was like this for me 20 years ago. I honestly can't remember. Maybe I would have done it because I had time and I wasn't the most studious person. Don't take example on me, please. Anyway, right now it's not. So I don't know, Adam. What's your take on these?
Yeah, no, I like the idea of, doing more challenging challenges, but I want something new. I mean, that was part of the reason why I felt when I finished Horizon Forbidden West at 118 hours, I felt like, okay, I'm good because I have strategies now that I can defeat all the machines in the game, So it's not super challenging anymore, and I feel accomplished. I like, okay, I'm good. I'm gonna wait for the DLC and then I can get some new story and that sort of thing. Whereas with something like when I played Bloodborne, if you're just gonna up the level, but it's like I'm just gonna be doing the exact same thing that I was doing before, why not just start a new game? Where's the point of New Game Plus? So New Game Plus in a way is identical to just starting a brand new game. The only difference is I can start with maybe the weapons that I like. But at the same time, if I'm already doing that, why not, like isn't part of the replayability like trying new builds and stuff like that? So it's like if I'm starting with these weapons anyway, if I'm just going to be playing the exact same way I am playing now, where's the point, right? I should start a new build and then try a different way. Maybe I'll do a strength build, or I'll do a dexterity build, or a magic build, or something, right? So if I'm going to try something new, then I might as well just start from the beginning because I don't have the right stats to use these weapons anyway. So yeah, so in that sense, I don't really. Yeah, if New Game Plus is just going to give you more of the same, then I don't really see the point of it. But like I said, and like you said, if it allows you to steamroll stuff so you can just go straight through the story, that's one of the things that I liked about, maybe something like Nier or something like that. If you are at these high levels, and there are hidden secrets all throughout the world, and some of them are going to be missable because, the story, it moves with the story beats or whatever. If you have New Game Plus, it just basically says, okay, you know what? Instead of just grinding through like you were before and spending all that extra time, just steamroll it and explore the world, find those hidden things that you have not seen before. And to me, that's a little more interesting than having to start basically start over. So yeah, for that, I would definitely say if you're gonna have a New Game Plus, then try to add something to it. Like, for example, or even something like I was playing World of Final Fantasy, and a New Game Plus, basically, the game starts over, but you get to keep your levels and stuff like that. Well, that game it's like Pokemon. You're trying to collect all the different, I think they call them mirages in that game. But you're trying to collect them all. If I don't have to worry about leveling, then I don't have to, I can just go to the area. I can just, the areas where I've collected everything, I can just steamroll those and then just get straight to the places where I haven't collected everything. And then I can just focus on collecting. I don't have to worry about like, oh, like I have to go back and heal because I've been out in the wild too long and stuff like that. So, it helps you kind of get that completion without so much of the grind. And for me, that's that. But what do you think about in terms of gameplay or game time versus cost value? Because I know there's lots of I often see people comparing games to movies where they're like, oh, if I pay this much for a game, if a movie ticket costs this much and I get 2 hours of entertainment out of it,
Nah.
a game at this price should be yay long to justify.
So, and perfect because I wanted to bounce on the topic, so it's perfect. First of all, it's a complete moot point because you buy a game not for its length, but for the satisfaction you take out of it. I am extremely satisfied of Subnautica. I played 10-15 hours, even more. And same way, I'm satisfied with Civilization after 200 hours, with Horizon Zero Dawn or Ghost of Tsushima 80, 60, more like 60, 80 hours. All of these, I'm satisfied with it. I'm very happy to pay the full price. Even though Subnautica, of course, it's priced nearly half the other game, but because it's not a AAA. But for me, that's not, you can't, abuse the system, just don't put a 4-hour game, at $90.
No, please do not.
That's stupid. But hey, and here we arrive to how to imagine, like, how can I add more? How can I keep the players on my game and make more money? DLCs. So, what do you think of a game which, say, is a good 60 hours, maybe 80 hours? I can't remember because I hated it, but say Final Fantasy 15. You finish the game, it's unfinished. The game is unfinished. And 3 months later, they start releasing episodic games about each of the characters, each of them priced quite comfortably. What do you think of this? Like, you're going to McDonald's and you get your burger, but they give you the bread and nothing in between. I say, yeah, but if you want the meat, you add $5. Oh, and I give you the tomatoes for another 5. Now, out of the menu, give me everything. And if I want a Sunday after, yes, I'll put more money onto it because it's new and, I want some extra. That's not possible. What you're doing, Square Enix, that's theft. That's stupid. That's terrible. Anyway, this is a kind of DLC which for me is purely badly made, and I don't know if it was made because the game was rushed in a hurry at the end and just didn't have the time to include this, or they planned from the very start in the marketing plan, we do the game and then we do this DLC that which should be essential to the story for the main character development. It's not something like a DLC about a secondary character, or maybe the origin story of a bad guy or something which you don't need to finish the game. But here you're talking about the development of your main characters. No, that's a no for me. On the contrary, take The Witcher. Main adventure was fantastic. And behind that, so you can finish the game and you are very satisfied with it. And then behind that, they add Blood and Wine. They add another one, which I can't remember. And both of these DLCs are widely very well criticized, saying both of these DLCs add to the story. It's very interesting. There's new things to do, and it really relates or combines very well with the original game. That's a well-made DLC. I got my burger, and now I'm getting more toppings. And I'm happy. FF15 did the whole contrary. What the hell was I thinking? So, this is what I'm thinking. DLC, what do you think of it?
It depends on the DLC, and it depends on the game. For example, was it Frozen Wilds in the original Horizon Forbidden West? Sorry, I keep saying Forbidden West now. Horizon Zero Dawn. And I felt was very, very much worth it. And I especially like DLC that adds like a whole new story or a whole new zone. The Witcher DLC I got, were there two or were there three? There was
Oh,
Heart of Stone and there
Blood and Wine.
was Blood and Wine. I actually enjoyed Heart of Stone, I think, more than Blood and Wine. Even though it didn't add any new areas, I think I just found the story slightly more interesting. I did enjoy Blood and Wine. I enjoyed it quite a bit, but I think overall I actually enjoyed Heart of Stone more, even though they didn't add any new areas. But that was to me, that was 100% worth the value of the DLC. But now, to be honest, I did get the game later, so I got the
The
Game of the Year
package.
edition. Yeah, so it came with all the DLC, and with Final Fantasy 15, I got the Royal edition, so it came with all the upgrades and stuff like that. Now, Final Fantasy 15's DLC, I didn't mind it because it really wasn't adding or padding out Final Fantasy 15's story itself. It was just giving you a little bit of background on some of the other characters. So everything was done outside the main game, and so these were side stories. So for me, it didn't feel like they were completing anything that wasn't, or they weren't filling in the blanks, as it were. Um, but yeah, I'm usually okay with DLC. There are some DLCs that now again with DLC, typically I feel that story DLC. I guess for me, I would say if I'm gonna pay for a DLC, I feel like for however much I pay for the DLC, I'm expecting a certain level of content, I guess. I mean, it's not fair to say like, okay, if you pay for a $60 game and then you pay for $10 DLC, that's 1/6 of the cost of the total game. So I should get, the equivalent of 1/6 of the game content. Because that would just be insane. If it's a 100-hour game, then it's like, okay, we're gonna have almost a 20-hour DLC. Uh, but yeah, it depends on the situation. I definitely think that DLC is worthwhile most of the time. I usually get it. I always got all the DLC on Skyrim and Fallout and all those. Yeah, I always get it all.
Except when you abuse the system. Hello, Civilization. $10 pack for one more story pack of Civilization.
Yeah, no, actually, I have not gotten any of the. I think I got like one DLC on Civilization. Now with Civilization 2, I feel like because there you're actually not giving the player at least a lot of times, because Civilization even have a story. A lot of times you're just giving them a new civilization. You're just giving them a new.
Scenario packs.
Oh, okay.
Scenario packs are like are less sandbox. They give you a scenario to complete
Mm.
with XXX civilization. You can
Uh,
play whatever civilization you want in a specific scenario, which could be cool. But I didn't check lately where they were at Civilization 6 DLCs. Oh, hello you. But I think there was a good, what, 10, 15, 20 of them, all priced at $6 or more each. You pay the whole game in just DLCs. That's
oh yeah, no,
that
definitely DLC. I feel like DLC should not end up adding up to the cost of the original game. I mean, look at was it Dead or Alive, where the original game is base price, $60 or so, and the DLC is over $1,000 worth of DLC. Come on, no way. That's no, 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 no. And actually, that's something that kind of annoys me is because I've been playing like say Apex or something like that, and it's like, oh, you can unlock this character skin for uh $10 or something like that. And I'm like, oh man, $10 for just this one skin? No, man. I would pay like 2 or 3, but ten
yeah
dollars?
yeah.
No.
That might be a cultural thing because, for instance, I know all the Tales of, all of them have a lot of different DLC pack, which is just reskin. And also, you and me were like, it's just skin. I don't really care. Apparently, I understand that Asian players
Oh yeah.
really do. Yeah, yeah, they are very fond of that. So it really depends on the culture, and there's really big money to make on this. So I can understand, why they're putting out because it's for part of their customers, but it doesn't, it doesn't hurt me. I don't buy this
Oh no,
DLC. I'm not losing anything out of the story, and that's fine. You know,
no,
it's
no,
just no.
no. Yeah, no, I don't mind that they have it, but I feel it's kind of predatory. One thing that I like, one of the big things for me is I always liked. Well, I shouldn't say I always liked because I really didn't start to like it until Sims 2. But I like the Sims series, and I kind of I played the original Sims, but I didn't really get into it until Sims 2. And in Sims 2, the DLC was fantastic, and if you and it did end up probably between, I don't even know how many there were. Let's see, I got the boxes around here somewhere. Let's see how many DLCs there were. There were probably like, I don't know, 8 or 10 DLCs, and they probably did add up to over the price of the base game. But they added so much in each one that, each time you got one, it just drastically changed the game, and it was great. And then in Sims 4 right now, a lot of the DLC packs, they or Sims 3 was just awful in that there were just tons and tons and tons of these DLC packs. And a lot of them were just like very minor changes. So you had to get a ton of them. And maybe they were really cheap, but it was just one of those things where like I would rather pay $20 for a big meaty DLC than pay $2 for 10 tiny
Oh yeah.
DLCs. Like even though it's probably the same value, just for me, I'm like, it's just easier, it's more convenient, and then you feel like I got something significant rather than like, oh no, here's another little one I gotta get it, because I feel like, I don't know. For me, it just feels like it's easier to budget when you have one big purchase rather than multiple small ones. Where you're like, oh yeah, they're fine, and then they add up, and
No,
you
yeah.
go back and look, and
I,
you're like, oh, I spent that much.
I understand, but basically, a DLC should feel like when you're buying an expansion on
Yeah,
Final Fantasy 14. You know, it's you don't have a DLC like 2 months after the game is out. It's like 1 or 2 years after, and it adds so much to the story or so much to the content. The Sims, I recall, it was not like a DLC pack every 2 or 3 months. It was like nearly a year each time,
yeah,
and it revived. Clearly, it revived the dying game because after 1 year, you don't play the Sims so much, but you have this pack which all of a sudden completely revives the game and you replay it in a completely different way. And that's very good because it revives the game and lets you play. So yeah, no, that's how DLC should be played. So we still have 10 minutes. I wanted to see what you think of something that publisher tried, but I believe it didn't work out so well, and I don't see it happen that much. And this is seasonal games. So Telltales, for instance, like you have a game, season one of what was it? Madeleine, I think was Madeleine's game. Or
Madeline. You mean Walking Dead with Caroline?
no, no, no. The Walking Dead. Walking Dead.
Tales from Borderland, Walking Dead, Wolf Within.
Yeah. Well, exactly. Well, it's for instance, Walking Dead was since like
They're all seasonal.
four, 4 or 5 parts. That
Yeah,
season, and I don't know. The wolf was the Wolf Within seasonal.
I think there were 2 seasons. I think
Mm.
there might have only been
So,
one, but I think there were 2.
so that's quite interesting because you get part of the story, and well, it's each season in itself is like when you're watching The Walking Dead in on the TV. Each season is enough for you to feel satisfied, and when another season come out, it's in between a DLC and a brand new game, basically. So that's quite interesting. But it works on Telltales because they have a story to tell and they can split it by chapters. They call it season, but that could be chapters on a book or
Yeah, they have episode one,
like
episode two. Like, so each season has like 5
ex-
episodes or something like that.
exactly. And it happened a lot. I feel they were very active in the year 2010, maybe 2010 to 2020. And I believe they completely disappeared out of the radar recently. And
Telltale went under. They broke apart.
yeah, they went under, but no one ever picked up this seasonal kind of split of games, which
Not exactly. Yeah.
Did you feel? Did you see any games lately like this? Because I felt that some games were bad because the story was like mission was boring. You know, the Walking Dead mission was boring, so the season didn't really work. But Clementine, sorry, Walking Dead was the little hero, the little girl was Clementine, and it was interesting. And yes, you want to see season two, you want to see season three. So I think it was a good way to do a game. And I'm not. I see you coming with, yeah, Fortnite has seasons. No, that's not the same. No, no,
No, that's completely different.
no, no. It doesn't add anything to the story. It's not even a story. So, shush.
They're trying to make a story.
Yeah, they're just dumping. But anyway, I'm not gonna go on to that. So, what do you think? I felt that it was a very good way to prolong, to extend the life of a game and extend on the story. This kind of seasonal episode, and I'm kind of sorry to see it went under because I think the Guardian of the Galaxy lately was it seasonal as well. It was very good, but I don't know if it was standalone or seasonal.
I don't know.
But even if it was standalone, they went under. So you would be very happy to have a season two or season three on these. So yeah, I don't know if you have an opinion on seasonal Telltale's game.
No, I actually liked it. Because the thing was is they could make the games, individual games were relatively cheap, and I think they did at some point. I don't think it was originally on release, but I think at some point they even said with the Walking Dead, I think season 1 episode 1, I think they made it free at one point,
Yeah,
and then
they
so you
did.
could play it, and then you could say like, oh, this is for me or this is not for me, and if it was for you, you could invest in it, and then they had different options where you could buy the season pack, and then when because they didn't release all the episodes at once. They would release an
Of
episode, and
course,
then
no,
maybe
yeah,
like 3 weeks later or a month later, they would release the next episode. Um, and so I thought that was really kind of interesting because it keeps you invested over time. And my wife would always be asking me like, "Oh, is the new Telltale game or is the new Walking Dead game out? Is the Walking Dead game out?" And she would always get really excited when the next one came out. So I always bought the season packs, but yeah, it's if you wanted to save some money, you could just buy individual episodes and whatnot. And I thought it was fine. I thought it was kind of interesting because it does make things. I think pricing you need to be really careful on because if like say if you're gonna do 6 episodes a season and each episode is $15, that's only a quarter of the price of a regular game, but that's gonna add up to
absolutely. No, you have to
ninety
be careful.
dollars.
But
Yeah, exactly. So like the season pass, so if you're getting the season pass, people are gonna expect $60. They're gonna expect a regular game price for the whole season pass. So
and I found that
yeah,
very interesting because I think they launched in the time that Netflix got, like a
around the
really
same time.
yeah, exactly. And it's kind of the same, like Netflix, you have your series and you have to wait for next Saturday for the next episode. Telltale still did kind of the same in video games. So I don't understand why, like VOD on demand became completely crazy on TV, but video games not. And I always wondered about that. Anyway, at this time, it's kind of a dead genre,
Yeah,
unfortunately, or dead business proposal, I would say. So
model.
that's an yeah model. Yeah, that's unfortunate to my taste. I think it was very good because in terms of length, I'm very happy to play one episode, which would be like 10 hours, 15 hours.
An
Something like
episode
this
for
per,
Walking
per
Dead
episode.
episodes took us on average about 2 hours. So we would
2 hours. Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
so we
Okay.
we could finish maybe an episode a night. Yeah.
And that's very nice because you can start like next week and do another 2 hours and next week and so on and so on.
Yeah. Yeah, we would do it.
Anyway,
We would do it by week, where we would wait for the entire season to come out, and then when the season was entirely out, we would do it maybe on Saturday night, and we'd play, an
mm.
episode every night, or every Saturday, and it lasted us 6 weeks or so. And by
So
then,
developers,
yeah,
yeah. So developers, if you can hear us boomers, we really like this.
yeah, it
But
was, it was, it
you
was an
know,
interesting model. I
if you
don't think
got
it would sell as well. I think that's why Telltale went under.
yeah, that's maybe marketing because to be honest, I never found there was a lot of marketing about Telltales. You never see it anywhere. If I didn't see it on some streaming channels, I wouldn't even know. what it was, and The Wolf Within was fantastic. I loved The Wolf Within. It was great.
Yeah, I saw Walking Dead around, but I didn't see too much Wolf Within. I saw a little bit of the Borderlands, less than Wolf Within, and I don't think I ever saw the Batman one advertised. So there was a
Mm,
Batman one, if I remember correctly.
yeah, there was absolutely. Okay, so we are already up to the hour. So let's quickly finish with uh, Krian would do that at the beginning of the show, and I just realized I completely forgot about it. What have you played this week, and what are you planning to play for next?
uh, so this week I played a little bit of Omori. I'm really close to the end. I'm debating whether I should just finish it and then uh on Friday start with last time I said it was what Monster Trainer. I was wrong. It's called Monster Sanctuary. So I'm debating whether I should just finish it on my own and then do Monster Sanctuary. But I think what I'll probably do is I'll finish it on stream, and then I think I'm also going to download the demo for Nine Souls, which is the new Red Candle game. And then if I finish it on stream and I still have some extra time, then I'll switch over to the Nine Souls demo and stream a bit of that, see how that goes. So I think that's kind of the plan. Other than that, just kind of goofing around in Apex and Final Fantasy 14. Yeah, so that's pretty much what I'm up to. What about you?
I finally downloaded and started Tales of Arise, but this time I told myself that I wouldn't go crazy like I did on Forbidden West. So I'm playing 1 hour here and there. So after like a week since last show, I barely finished the first boss. So I barely finished the tutorial basically. But it is a very good at this time. It's extremely good. There's a lot more skit and like storytelling and cutscenes than in previous games. So if you're allergic to cutscenes and reading and stuff like this, because I'm putting of course the voice in Japanese and I have to read the subtitles, if you're allergic to that, might be tough for you because there's really a lot, but it's really good. And the music is kind of funny because it's always grandiose. Even in moments which are supposed to be a bit calm, you can hear the epic music behind. Like, it's fantastic. I need to continue. Stop. Calm down. Relax. Breathe. But overall, the story is grand. It's really cool. Uh, Pure, like Tales of the visuals, graphics are really good. Story is really good. I really, really enjoyed myself. The combat system again is kind of the same old combat system of Tales of, and yet they found ways to make it even still very interesting and very, very dynamic in this one. So yeah, I'm gonna continue playing this, and at the rate I'm going for quite a while, I think. And after that, I think I'm just gonna, like do what I used to do when I was a kid. I'm gonna steal the Switch of my kid and play Zelda Skyward Sword because this one I never either watched on stream or played anything, so I have no idea what it is about. And like it's always easy to play a Zelda when you're in bed, like for an hour or something like this. So I think after Tales of Rise, I'll do that. And yeah, that's it for me. So do we have a theme for next week?
No, because I think it was technically supposed to be Korean's turn, right? If I remember
And
correctly.
yes, you are correct. And
Yeah.
it will be only you and Korean, so maybe we can see that after the show. So that's a surprise for you, dear listeners. So don't forget to tune in at 9 a.m. Taiwan, 9 a.m.
Yep.
Okay, 9 a.m. Taiwan, 9 p.m. in Canada, and
Eastern.
Eastern. Yes, of course. Thank you, EST. And enjoy your night or your evening, depending where you are. Thank you. Have a good night. Bye bye.
Bye bye.